Okay, very good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Christine Nicholas. I'm the chair of the New York State Tourism Advisory Council, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is now 11:12 a.m. Just as a reminder for those conferencing in, not you guys, but for those conferencing in, if you could just put yourselves on mute to eliminate any background noise. The only background noise we're having, I think, is a crop duster from I don't know where. But so if you hear a plane coming in low, just know that it's for the good of the environment. So, but welcome first off to Alana. It is really exciting to be here. We don't often get to do our TAC meetings remotely. So I know this took a lot of effort with the folks at the Department of Tourism. So I do want to thank them for coming here extra early, setting up, and I know having to deal with the electronics and all that. Not an easy task. It looks a lot easier than it is, but I want to thank you. And we'd love to do more of these. So now that we have our feet wet, we'd love to see more of these wonderful attractions and historic sites around New York State. So in order to learn more about Alana, we're thrilled to introduce Linda Cooper from State Parks and Sean Sawyer from the Alana Partnership. Linda, Sean, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Christine, and thank you, Russ, and everyone for joining us here at Alana State Historic Site. We really appreciate your presence. I know our head of marketing, Maddie G&A, spoke to you at your meeting in New York City. So we're proud, very proud of the State Park Centennial and the support that we have from I Love New York, from ESD, from everything you're doing on behalf of State Parks. Here your new roadmap with Alana on the cover and the travel planner with Letchworth on the cover. Just, we really appreciate the tremendous support. And with the new ad that just came out on television that has that image, has the Alana Mansion image on it. It's just exciting that we can support one another as we're going through. We just want to remind you that, again, in State Parks, we have these extraordinary, iconic images and places to be that can help you throughout your marketing and tourism efforts on behalf of New York State. And we're always happy to collaborate and partner with you in any way we can. Later on, we'll be happy to take you through that mansion and on a little tour of the landscape, which Frederick Church, designed and was so important within our history, both for touches on environment and art. And I'm going to pass off for more detail on that to Sean Sawyer, the president of the Alana Partnership. We are part of a public-private partnership in the operation of this site. So thank you. And introduce Mary Lowry as well, who's our head of visitor services.
First order of business. Hi, everyone. I'm Sean Sawyer, and I have my colleague Mary Lowry here, who is our VP for Visitor Services and Business Operations. I notice those two things very much go together for us. So as Linda said, I'm the president of the Alana Partnership, so we call ourselves TOP, so high TAC from top. I don't know, it seems to be your acronym too. We're the successors of the preservation movement, really, that saved Alana in the 1960s during Governor Rockefeller's tenure, when Alana became a New York State Historic Site. There was a lot of private fundraising and advocacy efforts that were essential to that. And so we've been here alongside, in some form or another, alongside State Parks ever since 1964, 66, which is the preservation battle. And right now we operate in a cooperative agreement with New York State Parks. Our staff provide all of the programming on site, so all public tours, all education and audiences. We have a lot of different partnerships with other nonprofits. We take the partnership in our name very, very seriously. The foremost one, of course, with New York State Parks, but with many other agencies and private and public entities. Of course, ESD and I Love New York, where we have done a number of projects over the past years and look forward to doing more. And also, we thank you so much for including Alana in your graphics. We, of course, think it's the most spectacularly visual single place in the whole state, but that's just because we do nothing else but focus on Olana, whereas even our New York State partners have 36 other historic sites, right? So we're about New York State. Thrilled to be able to take you around after your meeting a little bit. I think it'll be a bit of a whirlwind, but I hope it's a taste, and please spread the word and have people come back. Visitation has been growing this season. Very good September we've had. The post-school start lull has not really materialized, which is nice. And we just did an economic impact. You're going to see our new building. With that coming online and the sort of additional tours and operations, we're looking at increasing our economic impact for the capital region from 13.5 million to about 16 million annually. And that supports, will support over 240 jobs in the region. So we're a very important part of how we see tourism working for the people of our region and our communities. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Mary and Linda. Yeah, please join us.
Feel free if you want to sit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Great. So before we get started and take attendance, I did want to point out this is great. This is a great day because we have 3 new TAC members, so it's a pleasure to introduce our new TAC members, Michael Oates, who's the president and CEO of Hudson Valley Economic Development Corporation, and he was appointed by the governor. So welcome, Michael. If you want to say a few words. Say anything?
No, I'm thrilled to be here for working with you all. It's obviously very important work for the state, and yes, you hear from those numbers that economic impact is enormous and important, and we're here to do whatever we can to help continue to grow that. So look forward to working with some old friends and new ones.
Friends of long standing. Friends of long standing. We get a little. No, but it's great that you're actually one of the hosts today, since so we appreciate being in the Hudson Valley. Also, Olga Luis, who I've known, Tirado, who I've known for a long time, but most recently you have a PR firm, and I want to make sure I get it right because I know names are very important. Communications. It's easy for Olga. Communications and Solutions. But I know Olga from the Bronx Tourism Council, where she was for a very long time when I was at NYC and Company. We worked very closely together on Bronx Week, on the Bronx bike tour, and such amazing things. So Olga, so happy that you're with us now. So thank you.
I'm glad to be here. Nice to see a lot of old colleagues and friends. So this is going to be fun.
Terrific. Welcome. Tim Stahl joins us from Oswego County, where he's the Director of Community Development and Tourism Planning, and he was appointed at the recommendation of the Assembly Minority Leader. Olga, I failed to mention, was appointed by Andrea Stewart Cousins. So, Tim, if you would like to say a few words, just unmute yourself, if that's possible.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Okay,
No?
so maybe Tim may not be here. I'm going to do attendance,
No,
and then we can have. Oh, wait.
Can you hear me? No? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you see
I
me?
see him. He's waving.
Can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, wonderful. Well, good morning. Sorry about that. I want to first start off thank you all for letting me be a part of the group. I apologize for not being able to be there today in person. Definitely plan on being in the future. Got a little mixed up on our side here, but I think going forward we'll be all set. So I'm a Director of Planning and Tourism for Oswego County. Got a lot of exciting things going on in the central New York regional area. We got the NOAA National Marine Sanctuary designation from last couple of weeks ago, and with everything going on in Micron, we think the central New York is a pretty exciting place to be, and I can't wait to be part of this group and this conversations.
Thank you so much. So with that, I'm going to take attendance. We do have a larger group that's joining us on Zoom. So I will read from the RSVP list. So if I miss anybody, let me know. But Kelly Blazowski.
We're actually not going to be able to hear most people.
But I see her waving. So yeah. Okay.
And if they can email Rhiannon too.
Okay. Everybody who's on Zoom. If you, the TAC folks, you can email Rhiannon if we miss you. Barbara Lee Diamonstein Spielvogel. She's here. Yes, of course. Dan Fuller.
Here.
Yep. Thank you, Dan. Alexander Stanton. Nope. Okay. All right. Assembly member Danny O'Donnell. He's on. Yes. Okay. And Catherine Nichols.
Hi, I'm here in the car.
Yes.
Yes. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
Perfect. All right.
Can you hear me?
And if there are any other TAC members, just email Rhiannon and then I will add you to the minutes. And I'm pleased that we have Natasha Caputo here from TAC. And also we're going to go around the room. If you want to start, Ross. Everybody knows you, but Ross.
Please, I'm Ross Levi. I'm the Executive Director of the New York State Division of Tourism and a Vice President at Empire State Development.
Hi, I'm Rhiannon Edlund. I'm the Manager of Tourism Policy Programs at New York.
Is done.
Oh, sorry, Lisa Soto, Director of Marketing, Licensing,
Do you want to go in?
Just to echo, Christine Natasha Caputo, Westchester County Tourism and Hudson Valley.
Lauren Kaufman, Managing Director of PR at MMGY. We're thrilled to be in the room.
Thank you.
Leah Kowitsky, Senior Director at MMGY.
Thank you.
Rachel Stewart, I'm Ross's Executive Assistant at I Love New York.
Excellent.
Sarah Emmert, Senior Director of Tourism Policy and Operations at I Love New York.
Rich Beck now, SVP Marketing and Empire State Development.
We met.
Oh, geez. Tiffany Greenwald Simon from the Register Star, the local paper here in Columbia County.
Welcome, Tiffany.
Good morning. I'm Priscilla Brendler, Executive Director of Greater Hudson Heritage Network. Our background is right in the Hudson Valley, so I'm delighted to have you all here and be able to participate in this interesting meeting. Thank you.
And I should mention that Priscilla for many years assisted with Path for History weekends and helped build that great program. So we're thrilled to see her. It's been a few years. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you so much.
That's really a highlight. Thank you so much. All members have been emailed a copy of the minutes. They're also available on the ESD website. Are there any changes to the minutes? Okay. And if not, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion. Dan Fuller.
Okay, Natasha, second. Dan, okay, very good. Okay. So we all, any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the minutes stand. Okay, so my report will go over that it's what we all know, that this was a very busy summer since we last met. There have been a number of tourism-related announcements made by Governor Hochul. In July, the governor signed legislation to increase access to state parks and historic sites by prohibiting the mandated use of credit cards as means of payment. Wait, is that right? Did I read that? Okay.
That's the exclusive means.
Oh, as the exclusive means. Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. Not all visitors have access to credit cards. So they will still be accepting cash, but now they will also be accepting credit cards. It'll just make life a lot easier, you know, keeping up with the times. So this summer, we also saw major park openings and upgrades across the state. In June, work was completed on a new visitor center, improved parking and enhanced exhibits at the Bayard Cutting Arboretum State Park on the South Shore of Long Island. It was also announced in June that work is now underway on a $47.5 million in new upgrades to Buffalo Harbor State Park, including a new spray ground and signature art sculpture and fountain. And in July, Big Bend Preserve opened at Moreau State Park, increasing outdoor recreation access for visitors, New Yorkers. So this summer, we have been, there have been several new tourism attraction completions and openings. Also in July, the governor announced the completion of major improvements to the National Women's Hall of Fame building in Seneca Falls as part of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Work included doubling the hall's current space, improving the building's iconic smokestack and elevator and stairwell to provide access to the upper floors of the building. The National Women's Hall of Fame project received $1 million in funding from the Downtown Revitalization Initiative and $150,000 through I Love New York's Market New York program. Additional support was provided by state parks and NYSCA. So thank you all for that. Another exciting summer tourism opening was Great Lakes 360, a new living museum of the Aquarium of Niagara's expanded campus. This transformative project is designed to attract new visitors to experience the ecological story of the region all year round. The museum's accessible and interactive exhibit has increased the number of living exhibits at the aquarium by 40%. Great Lakes 360 is supported by a $1 million capital grant through I Love New York's Market New York program and a $675,000 ESD grant. In August, the governor announced $12.5 million to establish a Dominican Center for the Arts and Culture in the Washington Heights Inwood area of Manhattan. Do I get a hoo-hoo for that? All right. Come on, Tash. That's your neighborhood. Led by the Dominican Studies Institute at the City College of New York, this will be the first cultural center of its kind dedicated to preserving and celebrating the arts and culture of the Dominican Republic, as well as New Yorkers of Dominican descent. It will include a museum and exhibition space to display Dominican and Latino artists, a theater space, an auditorium, a children's library, and an oral history and archives project focusing on preserving the cultural history of the neighborhood. Okay. So late summer, of course, is synonymous with fair season. So the Great New York State Fair is the Empire State's largest annual event. In July, Governor Hochul appointed Julie LaFave as director of the Great New York State Fair after serving as operations director and interim director. LaFave was selected for the position after a nationwide search that attracted a diverse pool of highly qualified candidates. Also in July, Governor Hochul announced the return of daily direct train service to and from the fair. 4 trains departing from New York, Niagara Falls, and Toronto made daily stops to the fair throughout the 13-day duration via select Empire service. In early July, the governor also announced the launch of the state's nearly $2 million marketing initiative to promote New York's more than 50 county and local fairs across the state. The effort included launching ads and billboards, a new county fairs passport program, and a transportation grant program to help boost attendance at the state fairs and showcase New York State agriculture. Did you make it to the fair this summer?
I sure did.
Of course you
Haven't
did.
missed a year. You'll hear more about it. Sure.
Can't wait. Okay. In August, Governor Hochul announced the major construction is underway on projects that will modernize the Watertown International Airport, the Adirondack Regional Airport, creating welcoming travel gateways that will help attract new visitors and bring added economic activity to the North Country. Watertown International Airport's project will construct a new 25,000 square foot terminal that will house a new lobby, ticketing and baggage claim areas, a jet bridge, expanded passenger waiting areas, and dedicated car rental counter space. The current terminal will continue operating until the new terminal, which is being built next to the original building, is finished in the summer of 2025. At the Adirondack Regional Airport in Franklin County, upgrades will include expanding the central receiving area, updated furniture and lighting, and an expanded cafe. Construction is set to be completed in the winter of 2025. The governor announced that construction is also underway at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport. The project will reimagine the main terminal area to create a more efficient and more coordinated facility. There will also be a complete upgrade of the terminal's veterans area and the creation of a Frederick Douglass legacy area to honor the visionary abolitionists who called Rochester home. And that concludes my report on the governor's initiatives this summer. So I send it back to Ross.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome everybody to the Hudson Valley. I want to first welcome our new TAC members. Welcome. We're so thrilled to have you. And I also want to expand on Christine's thanks to the I Love New York staff for helping to make this remote meeting possible. We're thrilled to be out in the field. We expect this to be a semi-regular occurrence. And in particular, I want to highlight Rhiannon and Edlund. It's always a job, no slight to our TAC members. You're all wonderful, but just coordinating the TAC members and all the logistics is always a challenge just because there's so many moving pieces. You take that remote and that becomes exponentially more complicated. And Rhiannon always does it with grace, calm, and good humor. So thanks. Thank you, Rhiannon.
Are we going to be back at, how is the move? How the move? Well, I guess.
Oh, the move to the new
Yeah.
office. Yeah, you'll hear about that at the end of the meeting, because the next time we meet, we'll be back in New York City, and that will be in our new offices, which look pretty spectacular. So I shouldn't build it up. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine.
All the industries ESD supports, you'll notice a little slight nod to
tourism. Yeah, tourism is very well represented in our new offices, but you'll see all of that soon enough in November. Obviously, you at all these meetings, you hear us talk about all of our activity and what we do. And I'm not sure we always explicitly remind ourselves why. The rubber hits the road in terms of the economic impact that tourism has and the jobs it creates. So every year, I dare say with bated breath, we await the new tourism numbers. And in fact, we had those since our last meeting. It was at the end of August that Governor Hochul this time announced the latest New York State tourism numbers as captured in the annual report that I Love New York commissions from Tourism Economics. Bottom line, the news was very good. New York State in 2023 welcomed an all-time high number of 306.3 million visitors, while also setting record highs for direct visitor spending and total economic impact associated with the state's tourism industry. So records across the board. Visitors to New York State spent $88 billion and supported a historic $137 billion in total economic income. Let's just pause on that. $137 billion of economic impact. That is the end result of what tourism does across New York State. This represents significant gains over the then record-setting numbers from 2022. So we broke it in 2022, we broke it again in 2023. The pressure just increases with each year. And obviously it far surpasses the highest number achieved prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So again, not only rebounded from COVID, but we're better than we were before COVID. We're better than we've ever been in New York State's history. Visitor volume increased 5% year over year, which I think is significant. So, the money going up is great, but we know that the visitorship went up as well. So it's not just inflation, it's visitors as well. Visitor spending increased by more than $5 billion over the previous year. That's a 12% growth year over year, and the third consecutive year of double-digit growth. State and local tax revenues generated by tourism saved the average New Yorker state household $1,420. So again, it's not just the jobs that are created by tourism, but everybody in New York would be paying $1,400 more in taxes each house were it not for the income that tourism creates. While some experts feared a post-COVID tourism bubble, some thought that 2022 was going to be the big year with all that pent-up demand and that 2023 would be the dip. We were thrilled to see that that was not the case. New York State tourism showed no sign of letting up in 2023, and in fact defied any of those expectations that there might have been a bit of a slowdown from everyone traveling again after COVID. So we were thrilled with these numbers. Like I said, if anything, it puts the, I prefer things to go up like 2%, 3%, because then it makes the next year that less daunting. But no, it's exciting growth, and we're obviously optimistic it will continue.
Up 5 and 5 is better than up 11 and down 1.
Right, exactly. That's right. So you've heard me talk about it before, and it always happens around Labor Day. This used to be the time of the Jerry Lewis telethon. His goal was always to make $1 more than the previous year. Same with us, one visitor more. So in addition to those numbers, you've heard me mention at previous TAC meetings that the Division of Tourism hired Longwoods International, a well-respected research firm in the travel industry, for a multi-year contract to deliver 2 visitor profiles from New York State. So this is more than just the raw numbers. This actually gives us a sense of who's traveling to New York and what their behaviors are. The first report was delivered this past summer, providing the state a good sense of what our travel audience looks like now, including how guests book trips, what they spend their money on when visiting, and what activities they like to do. And the last time the Division of Tourism commissioned one of these visitor profiles of the state was 2019. Obviously, the world has changed a lot. So we're thrilled that we were able to do this, and thrilled again that we'll be able to do it a couple of years from now, and know that that's going to happen. Our hope is that this information will collectively help us to better reach travelers, to encourage them to choose New York for their next destination, stay longer, and spend more where they are. A few interesting things to note that we saw from that. The top activities that happen on trips to New York State are shopping, sightseeing, and going to a museum. Speaks well of where we are. While group activities are usually outdoor recreation related or entertainment activities, like attending a live performance or concert. New York State on average sees higher numbers of traveler parties with kids ages 6 to 12 and 13 to 17 than the national average. So we have people traveling with, I would say, older kids than most states. However, we are lower than the national average for travel parties of 55 and over. Also unique for New York State, the method of booking traveler here relies more heavily on online travel agencies and travel agents than for other places in the nation. Our visiting friends and families market also tends to stay in hotels more often than other destinations. Visiting friends and family is always a primary motivator for travel wherever you go. The good news for New York is those folks also stay in a hotel, so adding to our economic development and bringing a high return on investment for us for those types of travelers. 20% of travelers to the state said they had an accessibility need, which is higher than the New York State average at 17. So 17% for most states, 20% for New York. This may be in part due to the over 50% of those travelers who were very satisfied with an ease of accessibility while visiting New York State. So that's not a bad number, 57%. And these benchmarks are higher than the US average, which means travelers view New York State as an accessible destination. As you know from the launch of our accessible tourism program overseen by my colleague Sarah Emmert, we hope that that's having some impact in that space as well. So if TAC members are more interested in the details of these visitors profiles, just reach out to Rhiannon and she can provide those. So now so that's kind of a look at data. We now want to move into the marketing activities we've been involved in, which has been many since we last met. And I'll hand it over to Rich for that. Rich.
This is good. I'm good. Yeah. So hello, everyone. I just want to emphasize Ross's point about those tourism economic numbers. We're both obviously happy with the results and proud of the role we played in helping, support that comeback from COVID. Hopefully the COVID downturn is completely in the rearview mirror. And also the importance of those reports, not just to disseminate the information, but the regions really rely a lot on that for their planning. And also it gets a lot of press pickup. Obviously it's better to hear good news than bad news, which we've got plenty of good news. And just to share a little, personal story, as I was driving home from State Fair the day the governor announced the report, I believe it was on a Wednesday morning. I was driving home the next day. I live on Long Island. I stopped at a local diner because Long Island still has actual diners, if you know what I'm talking about, picking up some food, and they have a print version of the local newspapers, including Newsday. Front page, banner headline, for those who know what that word means, banner headline on Newsday, record tourism dollars. So I'm assuming other regions had just as much high profile pickup, but to see that, knowing that, from all of our hard work, the report went out, it's just how the process should work. So applause to everyone for that. All right, and actually real newspaper, you get your fingers dirty. So I can't believe, Ross said, I can't believe since we last met, this summer had not yet officially begun. So before we get into our future plans or current plans that we're doing for fall, I just wanted to go through a little bit of what we had done in the summer. The summer campaign ran from Memorial Day through early August in our traditional in-state drive markets and supported by broadcast as well as paid and organic digital. We continue to have increased placements on connected TV and streaming channels as those platforms continue to grow. It also gives us additional performance insights through its digital nature. So broadcast is still a core piece of our media spend, but we've been doing more and more on connected and streaming channels because, as I said, from a digital perspective, it gives a little bit more insight. And as that audience grows, it gets more sophisticated. We're slowly adding a little bit more support to those channels. Hopefully, most of you have already seen our summer ads, especially we had a lot of placements during the NBC Olympics. So we're going to quickly play one of them. I don't think we can play both. So we can play the spot number 2.
It's summertime in New York State. Time to get away. Enjoy everything that makes it easy to love New York. Start your getaway at iloveny.com.
Idea. That sound effect would work great if we ever do a location in space, but I'm still hearing an echo again. Okay. Great. All right, then we'll move to the next slide. So before we move on to fall, I just want to also talk a bit about our summer mobile tour. Our mobile tour obviously is the opportunity for us to bring the I Love New York message to life in the form of our pod tour. This is the same, essentially the same core elements that we launched last summer. Based on last year's tour, we're able to look at some performance data and some of the actual sites that we had a presence at. We're able to optimize the experience, both some of the content and the actual overall consumer experience. But for the most part, it's the core elements that we launched last year. We didn't really need to overhaul it because it was successful previous year. We just wanted to build off of that. What we did this year, though, we created a light version of the tour to give us additional flexibility to customize the experience for different targeted audience, such as LGBTQ or Black travel, or for smaller events. This allowed us to hit a record number of total events this year, 38 this year versus 21 last summer, with total attendance at all the events totaling over 7 million people. So that's the total attendance of the event itself. The increased footprint allowed us to see a record engaged traffic through our actual activation. This year we saw 313,000 engaged visitors to our actual activation versus 172,000 last year. It's an 82% increase. What we mean by engaged traffic is people who actually came to our booth, spent a certain amount of time, either opted in, engaged with our content, but not just the overall event attendance. That was the 7 million number, but the 313,000 people who came through our booth and actually spent some time with us. So that's a huge increase from last year. Due to optimizations on our data capture process, we're also able to capture an increased number of emails. That went up by 195% from 5,600 last year to over 16,000 this year. That was primarily due to the way that we changed the way that people engage with the process. I don't have to go into the details of it, but people really love free premiums, obviously. So to be eligible to get something, you had to have proven to us that you've at least spent a little bit of time with our content. So we had a little trivia test, a little contest. You answered a few questions to show that you've actually went through and engage with our content. That made you eligible to spin the wheel or get a prize. So just based on that slight little tweak, we're able to capture, almost 3 times the amount of emails. So managing a tour of this size is not an easy task. As you can imagine, there's a lot of moving parts, logistics. It's not just hit launch and watch the campaign go. There's different challenges that pop up every single day, whether different locations. We work with a really strong agency team, but I want to just shout out the experiential team, Faith West and the entire team, Adi Wilk, Tanya Perez, and Madi Agi. The amount of miles they've logged, I've kind of lost count, but let's just say it was a lot. Next slide, please. We've also talked a lot recently about our increased efforts against specific activity or specific areas of interest. A recent example of one of these campaigns is our partnership with Bassmasters that targets fishing enthusiasts. Bassmasters, if you're unaware, is a multi-platform media organization that hosts national pro fishing tournaments, many of which are televised. They reach an audience of over 83 million people via these tournaments, broadcasts, and a robust digital, social, and yes, a print presence. The goal of this partnership was to build awareness and increase consideration of New York as a world-class destination for a variety of types of fishing. We've partnered with Bass Masters in the past on specific tournaments, but with additional federal EDA funding to promote outdoor recreation, we saw an opportunity to use this partnership as a way to further reach fishing fans. Our 2-year partnership with Bass Masters includes various digital, print, social media, and TV placements that to date have resulted in over 4.5 million impressions. In addition to custom assets created by I Love New York, Bass Masters provides original social content from some of their pro anglers. What we're about to play is a typical video that appears on the Bassmaster site, and it combines both these elements, both an original I Love New York 15-second spot, as well as a piece of original content produced by the Bassmasters team.
Coastline, diverse waterways. It's some of the best fishing in the country. It's New York State. Catch all the adventures waiting for you. It's easy to love New York. Plan your world-class fishing getaway at iloveny.com.
Hey guys, Chris Johnson here, and we're gearing to head up north. We're going to New York. It's one of my favorite places in North America really to fish. Got great largemouth fish and smallmouth, but this year I think the smallmouth are going to be the big player, and everyone's going to be catching probably 18 to 20 pounds on Champlain. And then we're going to my favorite place, St. Lawrence. It's as close to home as Bassmaster ever comes. It's 2 hours from my house, and I think it's the best smallmouth fisher in the world still. And you're looking at 5 5-pounders to compete, and I'm looking up 25 to 28 pounds a day going to the St. Lawrence River. And I think the Century Belt's been broke there 7 or 8 times. It's gonna be a little tougher this year going to the river, less fishing time, but still gonna try and make it happen.
Combined with our ad, this is just a sample of again our print ad, some social posts. It's the combination of our branded materials with that original content that really makes this kind of partnership effective, and you get national coverage. So even though it's a niche topic, hopefully we're reaching anglers, as I call them, across the nation. And a special shout out to Sarah for identifying this and kind of helping execute this. So this is year 1, right? We're kind of like about a year into it, 6 months, I think, right?
Yeah, this summer is the first year of it, and that's when most of the tournaments happen. So that's when most of the engagement's happening. But we're going to have a special piece on the conservation efforts that's coming out in the next few months. And then next year is a full year of the partnership with Bassmasters as part of the EDA funding that we got to promote outdoor recreation.
Next slide, please. So on to fall. So we've gone from recap to, I don't call it preview, but current overview of what we're doing. So hopefully you may have seen these ads already. These started right after Labor Day. And again, just as summer and all of our seasonal spots, these are running in-state in our traditional drive markets and should be on air through about mid-October. And before we play it, obviously this is an appropriate spot and an appropriate location, because one of our featured locations you'll see is Olana. So if we can just play the fall spot, that would be great.
It's fall in New York State, and you have to see it. Plan the perfect trip, or just jump in the car. Either way, it's going to be breathtaking. It's going to be an adventure you'll never forget. It's what makes it easy to love New York. Start your getaway at iloveny.com.
So as I said, that's currently running and should be on air through about mid-October.
The traditional drive market is at 500 miles.
It's basically the neighboring states.
5 hours.
Right. 5 hours. So it's, Boston, Vermont, Connecticut, parts of Pennsylvania. So picture a radius around the state.
That's where I got the 5, not
Yeah,
500.
right.
It was 5.
Right.
5 hours. Great, thank you.
So with all apologies to flannel shirts and pumpkin spice latte and beers, it wouldn't be fall without our foliage report. That's the true sign that fall is here. We all know it, we all love it. In addition to the millions of expected impressions across paid and organic social media, these reports are also sent out to our direct subscriber base for the reports of 68,000 people. And as further evidence of our established place in pop culture, we've got a shout out. No PR was behind this. This has happened naturally. Seth Meyers called us out. So I just want to quickly play this clip.
New York State's official website for tourism has published its predictions for where and when to find the best fall foliage. And no matter when you make the drive, the answer is a couple of weeks ago. Sorry, our head writer, Alex Bays, has gotten burned by foliage a few times. He wanted to get in there because he wanted to get back at foliage. And I'm like, you can't get back at foliage. And he was like, just do the joke. I did.
So it was great. That just happened on its own. We I think retweeted back to them, and I don't know if anything's happened with it yet, but we've reached out, trying to sort of engage the Seth Meyers team and see if anything further comes of it. But just that alone, it's great.
Yeah. This was from this era?
I think it was last Monday or Tuesday. It was early last week. All right, so I'm assuming they probably saw the press release that this is launching. Again, the process works. Next slide, please. And then finally, just one more point on the overall fall campaign. It's all of our fall efforts are supported by a robust paid digital and social campaign. In addition to the TV and specific promotion around the fall foliage report, there's digital out-of-home ads we have running in Moynihan Train Hall. We have newsletters going to our I Love New York subscriber base of 90,000 people, and over 200 fall-related social posts planned to go out to over our 2 million combined I Love New York followers across all of our social media channels. And I want to thank Anna Packman and the entire digital and social team, Martha Lazinska, Jess Brock, Kimberly McVeigh, Emma Frisbee, Rachel Diamond, and Eric Schiffel for all their efforts across all the seasons, especially fall. So that's our quick fall update, and give it back to Russ.
Yeah, so I will jump you from the past to the future, but I'm going to start going back to one thing that did happen over the summer, which was Pride season. As you know, I Love New York LGBTQ takes full advantage of Pride season to send the message that New York State is one of the most welcoming destinations in the country for LGBTQ travelers, and invite them to come experience all that we have to offer. Our experiential tour activated at 10 locations over Pride parades, Pride events, and as always, Pride Day at the Great New York State Fair. And so throughout the tour, over 29,000 people stopped by our Pride activation, which enabled us to collect close to 3,000 emails. On June 30th, part of New York City Pride, one of those stops, I had the opportunity to be interviewed by WABC as part of their live Pride March broadcast to discuss I Love New York LGBTQ and all the things happening. Here's a little bit of that clip.
You know, on a day like this, it's easy to love New York, and I really, really, really love this city, but I think our next guest might have to be. We're joined by the Executive Director of New York State Division of Tourism, Ross D. Levi. Ross, it's so nice to see you. You know Kim, you know Lauren. Great to see you. Happy Pride. So, Ross, we know that it's been here, this city, a huge, destination for LGBTQ plus travelers. So what have you guys done to create the kind of I love LGBTQ kind of program?
Since 2013, we've had since 2013, a specific I Love New York LGBTQ travel program. You know, our community has such a connection with New York. Of course, Stonewall, the first Pride March, even the longest continually operating community center in the nation is up in Albany. We've been the #1 destination for the LGBT community in New York for years. So it was only natural to launch this and roll out the red carpet to let people know all that awaits them across New York State, and including here, of course, in New York City.
But it's not just the city, it's the state. There's so many places to visit.
Absolutely. We're so lucky. We have an embarrassment of riches, right? We have not only the gay neighborhoods, the LGBTQ neighborhoods here in New York City, Chelsea, and the Greenwich Village, but going all the way upstate, places like Buffalo.
About 5 minutes, so it was actually really good coverage. So we were excited to do that. Yeah, and Sam and I go back, so that was fun. That was great. Also in June, we launched a digital media campaign to promote LGBTQ travel. So that included paid social media ads on Facebook and Instagram, a search campaign, editorial placement with Passport Magazine and LGBTQ Travel Magazine, and syndication of our Pride Guide on top travel and tourism websites. As always, we continue to promote Pride throughout the entire summer with new blogs, social media, and email outreach. We launched a new events spotlight email template to the LGBTQ email list. And then looking ahead, I want to mention, Pride is too big in New York to contain to 1 month. We're partnering on an ADK, Adirondacks Winter Pride, which will be taking place from March 7th to 9th. We held an LGBTQ ski weekend last year in the Hudson Valley that was terrific, and that might come back, but we know for sure. Tell your friends, you're all welcome to come up as well from March 7th to 9th to Lake Placid for a Pride Winter Weekend. Also over the summer, I think my slides are off here. Right, so thank you. So the I Love New York Black Travel Program was also busy at events across the state this summer. In addition to the 2 Pride events that catered to Black travelers, which was BIPOC Pride in Albany and Harlem Pride. We also had a presence at Brooklyn's Juneteenth celebration and the Black Arts and Cultural Festival in Albany in August. We customized our I Love New York footprint to feature attractions relevant to Black travel to allow us to better share getaway ideas with 2,000 consumers that we met with and collected over 600 emails to grow our consumer email list. And then just earlier this month, we extended the summer tour with the first pilot activation at the HBCU New York Classic. You could see up there an annual football matchup of 2 HBCUs at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. This year's game featured Morehouse College from Atlanta and Howard University from Washington, D.C. And we were again able to engage with attendees, collect email, and promote New York State destinations of relevance to the Black community. Also over the summer, this past spring, was Path Through History Weekend, which took place Father's Day weekend with over 160 events presented by 142 different organizations across the state, all 11 vacation regions. Post-event surveys show that 36 sites told us they had attendance numbers of over 8,000. Like I said, that's just a tiny subset of everyone that participated. Feedback indicated that some sites experienced the biggest turnouts they've ever had and saw attendees from 20 different states. And everyone talked about how they had many first-time visitors to their sites. In addition to the numerous owned and organic promotional efforts, for the first time in many years, we launched a paid digital campaign to encourage attendance at these Path Through History Weekend events across the nation. That includes social media ads as well as syndications on site like today.com, travelchannel.com, nbc.com, all directing to our weekend calendar and blog on ilovenewyork.com. So those are all great progress that we were able to do. Fall Path Through History Weekend is just around the corner. It's Columbus Day, October 12th through the 14th, right during New York State History Month. And we anticipate another successful weekend. And we'll be again launching a digital campaign and hope to further increase awareness and traffic to our digital calendar to get people out to experience those events across New York State. Moving over to PR. So many of you know, for 15 years, Finn Partners served as I Love New York's trusted PR partner. And during that time, Finn did a fantastic job of working with travel media to promote New York State and really helped us get to really great new levels with our PR efforts. However, I Love New York's tenure working with Finn has come to a conclusion. And with that, we are excited to introduce you to our new PR agency, MMGY. MMGY has offices in New York and across the world. One of the things we're particularly excited about is they work exclusively in the travel, tourism, and hospitality space. We are joined today by 2 of our colleagues who introduced themselves earlier, Leah and Lauren. And MMGY's work has already begun in mid-August, hit the ground running, meeting with our TPAs out there in the counties, and pitching fall travel and foliage. and arranging press trips, attending events, planning Winter Media Night, which is just around the corner. They have already put together a partnership with Time Out New York that features our fall foliage report with an article in the magazine and weekly updates on their Instagram report. So Time Out New York is echoing the work that we're doing. MMGY is also working on a broadcast media tour where I've been speaking with local media all over the state about travel and the fall foliage report. So far, we've been on WRGRZ TV and WIVB, both out of Buffalo, 2 interviews with Spectrum Cable. I hear we may be on a Albany affiliate in the next couple of days, so that all continues. Also over the summer, as PR efforts, we held our annual Summer Media Night on June 12th at the iconic Central Park Boathouse, newly reopened. Guests enjoyed New York State themed experiences, including our LGBTQ area and our suitcase tour. There was an area for New York State parks. Bethel Woods was there showing off their new glamping. You could see the setup right there on the screen. And the Chautauqua Institution was there as well. 9 of our TPAs and 4 New York State partners also exhibited, and several travel packages were raffled at the end of the night to the journalists who were in attendance. Nearly 50 media personnel represented were there, and some top outlets, including the New York Times, Forbes, Time Out New York, Cosmopolitan, Afar, Photos, Good Housekeeping, and more. Some of the writers were first-time attendees, which we always love to see, and had the chance to learn more about I Love New York's LGBTQ, Black, and accessible travel, noting that their outlets were highly interested in those areas. So we were glad to give the media what was interest to them. For PR, we've also been hosting group fam tours. You'll see here, we've hosted 2 Canadian and 3 US writers in the Thousand Islands. The goal was to highlight this region during the high season to show off how easy it is for the Canadian market to travel to the region and showcase different summer destinations to visit in New York State. It's been a while since we highlighted the Thousand Islands this way, and bringing Canadian journalists in particular to meet, we felt was a smart strategy. Every excursion had its own adventure. We went to the Antique Boat Museum, Bolt Castle, the Grindhouse Island Winery. Also in July, I Love New York hosted 3 Canadian media in the Chautauqua Allegheny region, so south of there. Highlights included the Chautauqua Institution, the Roger Torrey Peterson Museum, the Grape Discovery Center, and of course, Lucy Desi Museum, the National Comedy Center. And, you know, access to unique experience such as intimate performances by Renee Fleming with the Chautauqua Symphony Orchestra and behind the scene insights. You know, we're able to give these reporters more than just attending on their own. We really were able to give them a backstage experience. Also, earlier this month, in fact, Lisa Soto, who heads up. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Sorry, I wanted to jump in, going back to our summer media night, that New York State Parks was not just an attendee, they were actually our partner in the event, to help amplify. We invited them to partner with us on the event so we could help amplify their 100-year anniversary.
Yes, absolutely. So Lisa and I were actually at the International Food and Wine conference along with MMGY. This is an annual conference that moves around the nation, and they were in Corning in the Finger Lakes this year. So I was able to give welcome remarks, participate in their speed dating, you know, one of those situations where there's dozens of journalists, while Lisa and MMGY met with additional writers during the media marketplace throughout the conference. I also, in advance of this, did a virtual tour for the webinar, did a virtual webinar for the attendees of the conference, as well as a podcast afterwards. So those are our marketing activities. Want to talk about some industry support work we did. In order to help tourism businesses, we again collaborated with the Department of Health, Department of Labor, to host industry-specific virtual career fairs. And we decided to hold 2 separate fairs, a downstate one for New York City and Long Island, and another one upstate. And for the first time, we launched a paid advertising campaign to help recruit job seekers to attend this. That's the first time we've kind of done that rather than just relying on DOL's website and word of mouth and that kind of thing. The Downstate Fair was held on September 10th, had 19 businesses with 134 openings and 787 job seekers. The Upstate Fair will be held this Thursday, September 26th. As of last week, there were 21 businesses registered with 278 openings and already over 150 job seekers expected to attend. We've been working in a cooperation, a partnership with Cornell Cooperative Extension. Hopefully you've heard of them, an organization that provides support to the agriculture industry. They've been bringing together professionals in the tourism business with farmers to talk about how better to do agritourism work at their farms. And myself and Sarah Emmert went to a number of these events across the state to let them know how they can work with I Love New York to support agritourism at their farms as well. Of course, probably our most prominent industry support is our funding. And so we are currently in round 14 of Market New York. As you heard me talk about in May, we have level funding for that, $15 million available. Online applications closed on July 31st. We received 120 applications. So that's a very high amount. Generally, we give around 60 awards, so almost twice as many applicants as there will likely be awards. We expect those to be announced in late fall, early winter, something like that. And of course, matching funds, which is the money that goes to our counties. The guidelines for the 2025 program were released at the end of August. Applications opening in early October and due on Thursday, October 31st. So those funding programs move along. Just want to talk lastly about some travel trade activities we've been involved with. We're very proud of this work, largely thanks to the funding we got from the federal government. We've done a lot of work in Australia. Heather McElhenney on our team, who heads up our travel trade, attended the Adventure Travel Trade Association's Elevate Trade Show in Asheville, North Carolina. This organization works with tour operators and media whose focus is on group tours. So we were able to have 15 different meetings there and 6 media meetings. Directly from Elevate, Heather traveled all the way to Australia. She's never at home to kick up a 15-day sales mission together with Discover Long Island and Beyond the Big Apple. We also held a unique consumer activation at the Sydney Good Food and Wine Festival. So most of the time on these trade work, these sales missions were meeting exclusively with trade. This we were actually able to go to a consumer event as well. It's a huge show that has 25,000 consumers go through it. And so we were able to promote New York in some really interesting ways to people that were there to hear about food and drink. So for example, they came to our booth and we had New York State wines for them and Harney and Sons tea, which come from here in the Hudson Valley. And the highlight of the show was 3 days of main state promotions in partnership with Kristen Tibballs, who's known across the country for her work on MasterChef Australia. And so she held a 30-minute baking demonstration where she made a version of a New York State apple pie using crown maple syrup from the Hudson Valley. And through these presentations, she spoke about travel to New York State and Sunrise, which is basically the Australian Today show. They came and covered it. Which was great exposure there. You could actually see here that video you see going was the result of that. It made such a great impression. We were able to get Sunrise to come to New York State, where they were able to do 7 live weather updates during their morning sunrise show. So like the way that Al Roker does those, you could see their on-air talent there. It's going back quickly, but he's there. He was able to do a number of shows. I came down to the Hudson Valley to join them for a broadcast. So that was really great exposure. Then I want to mention the Student Youth Travel Association had its show in New York City this year. Again, that moves around the nation. But together with Travel Alliance Partnership, which is our travel trade vendor, we were able to have a presence there. I spoke at their breakfast meeting together with New York State Tourism and Conventions to talk to all those group travel, those student tour operators and promote New York State with them. And then afterwards, we held meetings with approximately 20 tour operators, basically 700 attendees at that conference. And we had a really great presence to get student groups to come to New York State. It's really big business. So we're excited to be able to do that. And then a quick look ahead on international and domestic work. The Travel Alliance team will be representing I Love New York at IMEX, which is the Global Meeting and Events Trade Show in October. We're partnering with New York City Conventions and Tourism to have 6 meeting tables in their booth. as well as I Love New York branded wall, logo placement, and overhead banners and video footage playing. And a number of TPAs will be joining us for that. Internationally, we'll be hosting our first set of global familiarization tours, FAM tours, that's why we say FAM tours, in just the next few days, with 16 tour operators and agents from all 4 international offices coming the last week of September, 12 journalists coming the first week of October. The theme is The Great Gatsby and the Gilded Age, to capitalize on the 100th anniversary of the book and, of course, the popularity of the Gilded Age TV show. And so we're excited for that opportunity. This follows work we did hosting Swiss travel trade over the summer, including 19 trade reps and a Swiss journalist who spent time in the Catskills to write about the spirit of Woodstock, and a piece that was published in both UK and Canadian markets. We also have a number of other sales missions coming up, trade shows coming up, so you'll be hearing more at the next meeting as we continue to get out over the globe. So that's it.
What else you got?
That's it.
That's all?
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. Well, any questions from TAC for Ross? I'm going to start with just a quick question. I'm so glad that you were able to tap into the SITA, the School Youth Tourism Association, because that doesn't always happen in New York. So they worked hard to get it in New York. But I have heard, and I don't know if Alana if you've heard as well, that student groups are not fully back. So was that part of the meeting with SITA, or is that something that we could maybe work to try to push to get the student groups back? I just know from the lower area, the city's point of view, the student groups are just not back yet.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was kind of a traditional trade show activation. Like I said, I spoke to everybody, we did meetings. I will say, we've never been to SITA before. I shouldn't say never. As long as I've been here, we've never been to SITA. And so for us, again, this was largely made possible by that federal funding we got through the EDA. But this was an important market. We know it is. So the fact that we were able to be there, I mean, just anecdotally, I was able to talk to one person who ran STEM tours, right, for science and math. And I asked, and her husband, who helps run the company, is very into aircraft and space. I'm like, well, have you heard of the Cradle of Aviation in Long Island? And like, oh no,
oh my gosh,
nothing, but they hadn't even heard of it.
Wow.
So the fact that I was able to say,
That's
well,
great.
you can host a tour in New York City and just take the train out there and bring your students out to see that. So that was just one example that was going on throughout.
Great.
So we're hoping that that has some impact.
Great, great. Well, thank you for doing that. Any questions for Ross, Rich? Well, it was so comprehensive that, excellent. So that concludes our formal portion of TAC. I wanted to remind you though that our next meeting will take place on November 12th, Tuesday, November 12th. It'll be at ESD's new office, 655 3rd Avenue.
That's between 40th and 41st, but you'll get this all in writing.
Right,
So
okay.
it's literally just a block away.
It's literally across the street.
So it's close to the Grand Central, so.
By a whole half
Right,
a block.
Okay. We can still go to Docks then if we wanted to.
Yeah, sure.
Just checking. All right, so terrific. And before we, I guess we're going to take a tour now, right? Do we have any, what are we doing?
Great. So yes, in a moment, we're going to be heading out and seeing the new visitor center, which I'm not sure, I don't believe is open officially yet, but we're going to get a little sneak preview, and then we'll be going up to the main house.
So we're walking?
No,
We're
we have little carts waiting
Okay.
out here for us, but hold on, we need to formally adjourn.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, I do need to formally adjourn, and I need to mention the time, which is 12:17. And I need a motion to adjourn, Natasha, and thank you, Olga. Your first official beauty, yay. Okay, so we're concluded then. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And again, thank you. Yeah.